Gilberts. Welcome to my live call tonight with a question. Do I have to be a leader? And what exactly am I talking about? I'm going to explain that tonight with you. And for those of you that do not know me, I've been involved in network marketing for over 40 years. I share a lot of what I've learned in my journey on these live calls. I started in this business totally broke, sold a junk truck to get started, put $200 in my business, and that was almost 27 years ago. And I've been full-time in network marketing ever since. It's been a career. It might be one for you. So I'm going to acknowledge some people that are joining us now. And who is coming out of the woods? Kelly, nice to see you, Kelly. Nice to see you on the call tonight. You're somewhere up north. I forgot where you live. Debbie, nice to see you. You can say where you're from. And Annyeonghaseyo, my friend in South Korea. Can't read Korean characters very well, but nice to see you on the call. And then Renee from Ohio, nice to see you. Great memories there. I grew up when I was a youth in Ohio. Claire from Texas, nice to see you. John in Baltimore, how are you? And who else is joining tonight? Blanca from California, nice to see you. Hey, Gary in the Philippines, Manila, Philippines, nice to see you, Gary, awesome leader. Debbie in Australia, nice to see you. Scott, good to see you. Jenny in North Carolina, I believe Scott there in Knoxville. Kelly, yeah, Illinois. Kelly, for some reason, you don't look like someone from Illinois, but what do people from Illinois look like? I don't know. you look like a Southerner. Ciro in Salt Lake City, nice to see you on the call. Carlos Santana, my favorite lead guitarist. Boy, when I was young, we used to play a lot of Santana in the band, that was for sure. And Jackie, nice to see you in Manila as well. Eve, nice to see you. And what is that? Gito, did I read that right? In Indonesia, Gito in Indonesia. Good to see you on the call tonight. You know, we're like 5 weeks away from this year being done. And Susie, nice to see you. How are you doing on your speed? Remember in an earlier call I talked about that the speed that you finish this year is the speed that you'll begin next year. You won't have to spend your first 3 weeks in January trying to wake up your team and give them coffee and say, get going. So Wendy, nice to see you. So important now that we spend these weeks, and don't think just because holidays are coming you can't build a business. Keep in mind, the last company I joined 21 years ago, that man signed me up in December. There we go. It was in December. Yes, it was in December. So let me tell you, people that are looking for opportunity are always looking for opportunity. People that are looking for solutions to their problems in life are always looking for solutions to their problems in life, okay? So just, you're the messenger, okay? Just keep giving out that message. Find some people in your team that really want a better year next year and say, let's run together. And that's the thing that you want to do. And Hadass from Winnipeg, Canada. Nice to see you. Philippi from Florida. Elsa from Peru. Nice to see you. So, you know, and that really is the reason why I'm talking about leadership tonight. Some people are not comfortable with leadership. And I understand that. And so tonight I'm going to talk about just, you know, do you really have to be a leader? And it is a choice. Interesting, I was on a call with Ray Higdon today and Angel Fletcher, Ryan as well, and a few other leaders. And we were discussing this very subject today, just a few hours ago, on leadership and some things that Ray wants to change up in, you know, probably early next year. And the reason why, because it was interesting that in talking to Angel and Ryan, you know, they were talking about that some of their, even some of their leaders that are earning six-figure incomes don't want to be leaders. They like the money, but they don't want to be leaders. Interesting. Usually we think that's people who are not making money. So it's an issue. It is an issue. But it's important that we talk about it tonight, because here's the thing, what we got to realize. People are never born leaders. I was never born a leader. Matter of fact, it reminds me of the story of a tourist that was in Italy, went to this town, saw an old man sitting in a chair outside a store, and he just was curious, and he asked him, he said, were there any leaders born here? And the old man looked at him and said, no, just babies. Just babies. And that's the reality. And when if you read the Bible, I mean, look at some of the people God chose. I mean, David was a shepherd, Moses was a shepherd. That's their resume, and they're going to lead nations. Are you kidding me? So that's interesting, isn't it? How people become leaders, and again, because a lot of times we don't think we're qualified. You know, and we understand why this is a problem, because you sign up in a company, you love the product that you tried, somebody introduced you to, you're passionate about your product, you shared your product with other people, they loved it, they shared it with others, those people loved it, they shared it with others. Next thing you know, you got a downline, and then they look at you and they hand you the marker and say, okay, you're the leader, lead. And you're like, no, I didn't sign up for this. That's right. So it's a common problem, the way people feel about it. So I'm very empathetic with that, because I can remember when I used to get up in front of a room and absolutely shake. Public speaking scared me to death. I mean, it really did. Scared me to death. Now I just love it. I just love it. I mean, it's like I could suck energy out of crowds when I speak, when I get on a stage. I just love it. But man, I can remember in the beginning, I did not love it at all, because I had a different perspective of it. I was too self-conscious of myself, which meant I was too selfish. And today, it's like I'm not conscious of myself at all when I walk out on stage. To me, it's all about giving. It's all about, hey, you got to make sure when they leave this room, you gave them something incredible that they're going to take away, and they're going to be better for it. You did your job. That was your job. It's all about serving. So the thing about it is, you know, if you don't feel like you're a leader, my heart goes out to you. Matter of fact, I call it the imposter leader. That a lot of us feel that way in the very beginning. We feel like the imposter leader, because that's not what we signed up for. We signed up because we loved a product. We wanted to share a product. This idea about being a leader was not what we had in mind. I mean, many of you are so busy. You're busy with your lives. You're busy with your families. You mothers, you have so many responsibilities in your home, homework when the kids come home. So much of that. The idea of reading books and going to seminars, and who's got time for that, right? And it's like, okay, I don't have time for it. So I'm going to let my upline be the leader. And we were talking on today about that on the call with Angel Fletcher and Ray Higdon. and myself, we were talking about that, and Ryan, just talking about how others would rather just hand the marker to someone else, say, you be the leader, because I don't have time to be a leader. I want to just tell you, it's not an issue about time. The issue is that you have to understand that leadership affects every part of your life, not just your network marketing business. It's going to affect your marriage. It's going to affect your ability to be a good parent. It's going to affect your ability to contribute to a community or a religious entity, whatever you belong to. If you're going to bring any value to anything, you're going to have to realize at some point in your life you're going to have to step up. I mean, it's like my youngest son. I just wish he wouldn't grow up. Matter of fact, I joke and say that to him. I said, whatever you do, don't grow up. Don't grow up. I love to keep them small because I love it. I love that age. You parents know what I'm talking about. And I'll never have it again. I know that. But think about it. If he never did grow up, then I might think, what's wrong with this child? I bring him to doctors and all that, trying to find out. Wait a second, he's 40 years old, but he looks 6. Something's wrong. Okay. How long have you been in your team right now? Are you contributing to your team? Are you stepping up and doing things that your upline does? And if not, then understand you're still that child. But there will come a time you're going to see the importance of the fact that you're going to have to step up, because again, it affects you. It affects everything in your life. So the thing about it is, we can't have this thing like some want to show up, and we talked about this on the call today too. They want to show up with their ranks and their pins and their egos, but they don't want to show up with leadership. They don't want to show up with leadership. It's like the fake it until you make it. I want everybody to believe I'm some super leader, some powerful person, but inside I'm really like the Wizard of Oz. I'm behind the curtain, I'm throwing out all this smoke and everything, saying I am the great and powerful leader. But inside, behind the curtain, I'm just a small man. See, you get what I'm talking about. You know what? There's a quote by Zig Ziglar, and this is the reason why we can't fake it until we make it when it comes to leadership. He said, and I'm just going to quote him because I love this quote. I wrote it down. He said, we cannot perform in a manner consistently that is inconsistent with the way you see yourself. Isn't that powerful? That we cannot perform in a manner consistently that's inconsistent with the way that you see yourself. So the thing about it is, if you cannot find your upline and someone asks you to explain the product, are you going to be able to do that? If your electronic device or your iPad all of a sudden died, or you thought you put it in the car with you when you went to meet a prospect, and the only thing you had was a piece of paper and a pen, could you do a presentation? Could you give them an example? Could you explain things? Those are important areas. See what's going to happen. I remember my sponsor sharing the story when he first became a leader. And that was that he always brought prospects to a meeting. And one night, the leader did not show up. And then his downline looked at him and said, okay, you got to lead. And he was scared to death, but he did it. See, if that was you, what would happen? I mean, now today it's easier, isn't it? I mean, we send out a link to a video. That's easy. That's a no-brainer, right? We get so spoiled by these comforts. But I'll tell you, when you build an international organization, you're going to find out there's more to it than that. That you'll have to start showing up at venue events if you really want to be a leader, if you really want to have a big team. Or let's just say your upline's not available for a 3-way call. Are you going to be able to explain things? Your prospect is there and you don't have your upline. What are you going to do? And how are you going to show up as a leader? You might show up just like Arthur right now. And would you be able to do that, Arthur? No, see, he ran away. See, he doesn't want to be the leader. That's going to have to change, Anyway, so why be a leader? Here's the thing that we want to talk about, and this is important. Listen to me. You will never be successful in this business if you don't become a leader. When I was talking to Angel Fletcher today and Ryan and Ray Higdon, when they were talking about people that are earning six-figure incomes but they don't want to be leaders, they have to understand that that's only going to last for a while. That kind of money will only last for a while. And if those people are not a leader, and we have to understand what that means. Leadership is influence. That's it. That's all it is. Influence. It's like gravity, right? It keeps things together. And when you lose that, it disappears. And that income can be gone very quick. And that's the reason why we always have to work on our leadership. There is no graduation. I have to do it. But the thing about it is, just understand that, so that unless you do that, you will not succeed. Because here's the other thing, and understand this, and remember this: leaders only follow leaders. If someone says, I don't want to be a leader, I'm earning six-figure income, I'm earning over $10,000 a month, and saying, I don't want to be a leader. That's like saying you don't want to be in business in the future. Because, again, leaders only follow leaders. And if I'm building my business just with people who just want to use the product or want to casually show up in this business, that's not a future. Those are not the kind of people that I'm going to be able to build a future. I mean, look at me now, 21 years. 21 years. Why? Because of leadership. Leaders follow leaders who follow leaders who follow leaders. Birds of a feather flock together. We've heard that expression, right? And so that's the thing. So it's disastrous to you if you choose not to, to show up as a leader. That needs to be a goal. I heard it said that if someone thinks they're a leader and no one is following them, they're only going for a walk. Someone thinks they're a leader and no one is following them, they only go for a walk. I remember a man years ago, called me up, told me he was one of the greatest networkers in the world. I thought, okay, great. And so joined my team and all that. He loved to talk about himself, always loved to talk about himself, brag about himself. And, he asked for some support, asked me to help him out. I was glad to do it. But it was interesting. He wasn't showing up with anybody. And I was wondering, okay, you're a leader. You're one of the greatest leaders. I get that. Where's your crowd? He was only going for a walk. Because the fact of the matter is, he was never interested in others, only himself. And he only talked about himself. And so in other companies he had been in, that's just the way he was. And guess what? People didn't like that. They really didn't like that. They could see he was very selfish. So just understanding that leadership is about service. Leadership is about serving other people. And if we get good at doing that, and then just understand that's what it is. It doesn't mean you have to be something you're not. But that you show up and you really want to reach out and help people be better, do better, have more. And if we get good at that, I mean, with me, when I went overseas, and I'd never left the United States in my life, and I'm going to foreign countries, not knowing their language is anything. And the thing I got good at was making people feel good about themselves, shaking their hands, taking an interest in them, asking, hey, tell me about yourself. What's your story? And listen with interest, ask more questions. People love that. I was very good at that. And then people look at me and say, wow, look at him, man. That guy's such a powerful leader. Well, I don't know that I'm such a powerful leader. I'd say that I just was interested in people. That's all. Because we're in the people business. That's the essence of network marketing. A people business. I'm not in the business so much of products and services. I mean, products are going to sit in a warehouse. They will not move themselves. If they say the product sells itself, they're lying. It's people that move products. And so that's the thing. And so that was the attitude I had, is just a service attitude. Here's the thing we have to remember. When it comes to attracting leaders, if that's what we're going to build with, and that's what I advise you to build with. And I say this because, and I say this without arrogance, but my team does more volume than most network marketing companies in the United States. My team does more volume. I didn't say my company. I said my team does more volume. After 21 years, you know, most people think, well, after 21 years, he's probably got a few $1,000s left in his downline. No, they don't understand. They don't get it. Because if you want to build something permanent, then you have to provide the leadership that's going to attract other leaders to you. That is the essence of having an enduring team and why you've got to step up and be a leader. That's the thing. So you're going to attract whatever you become. Whatever you become. So if we choose not to be a leader, that's probably what we're going to attract. People that don't want to be leaders. Okay. You know, bad. I mean, down the road, you're going to lose it. They won't stay together. So, you know, I look at leadership sort of like a sculptor. A sculptor will look at a piece of rock and he doesn't see a rock. He sees the statue buried in the stone. Look at Michelangelo, one of the most incredible sculptors of time. Bernini was another one. But you look at Michelangelo, and he would take a piece of rock and he'd say, I see Moses. I see David in that. And today they're in museums. I remember when me and my wife were in London this year, I saw Moses and David for the first time. It was on a tour. It was in that museum in London. And I thought, my gosh, I'm looking at what Michelangelo carved. And it was huge. These were huge. These were not small sculptor pieces. These things were colossi. I mean, it was huge. And I thought about it. I just sat there and looked at it, and I thought, there was a time, and you cannot make a mistake with this stuff, right? You have to be very careful in carving this. And I don't know how much time it took him to do that, but no doubt a lot of time. But what Michelangelo always saw was he always saw the statue buried in the stone. When you look at people, they're like that too. When you look at yourself, you're like that. There's a statue buried in you. There is an incredible person that's buried in you. Now, there's a difference though. And remember this, you know, the stone doesn't have a choice who carves it. It does not have that choice. You do. You have that choice. And this is the reason why you have to be careful about your influences. In other words, if you want to be a leader, get around people who provide the kind of leadership you're comfortable with, you like, has, you know, the same core values as you do. They're not phonies. They're not, they're not just putting on airs. They're not getting on Facebook Lives to entertain you. They really do want to impart, you know, things to help you, equip you, make you better, show you a better way, show you how to do it, and teach it the way it should be taught. So you have that choice as to who is going to carve you. And that's the beautiful thing in it. But I see, when I look in this profession so much, I just see that the statue stays buried in the stone. It never becomes the statue. But you go to that museum like I did in London, and it's like you see that, and you say, oh my gosh, that man had a vision. He could see the statue buried in the stone. So understand that unless you step up to be a leader, that's not going to change. It's not going to change for you. And I want to see that happen for you. So that's the thing that we have to relate to is, you know, just ask yourself this: where does it all begin? You know, it begins in different areas, but when it comes to network marketing, and I said, leadership affects all areas of your life. So if we choose to, you know, if we choose not to be a leader, that's like saying, I want to be a parent, but I want to suck at it. Okay? You know, I want to live in a community, but I don't want to contribute anything to it. I don't know much of it. I don't even know my neighbors. You know, they don't care. I don't care. You know, things like that. Yeah, I'm married. She's all right. We'll see if it works. Wow. Okay. So, Leadership affects all those areas of life, and that's the reason why we can't ignore it. In network marketing, it's most important. But where does it all begin? Well, I'll tell you what, the oldest form of leadership, oldest, is being a parent. Why? Because whether you like it or not, you have a downline. It's true. You have kids, okay? Guess what? I mean, I almost had a nervous breakdown when I had my first child because I thought, oh my gosh, what do I know about being a parent? You know, scared me to death. And so the thing about it is that, you know, we understand that we have to live the message in our home. So that means whatever, you know, our children are, they're look at everything we do and they're going to imitate it. They're going to imitate it. And so for that reason, then we're responsible how they turned out, right? Boy, talk about pressure. Oh my gosh. No wonder I almost had a nervous breakdown. And so, because guess what? We all know that when we look in the mirror, we're imperfect people. We're flawed. But we can't use that as an excuse. We have to step up and create the best version of ourselves. Start making sure that we're carving that statue out of that stone and becoming an example to them. Again, they're our downline. So we have to be an example in our speech and all those things. And no, like I said, no one's perfect. I remember one day when I slipped with my tongue, when I got angry about something, and a word came out. It wasn't a horrible word, but it was a word. And my little son said, "Daddy, you said that word." And what? Maybe it sounded like that. Maybe it sounded like that. No, Daddy. Now he's asking me to be honest. He said, "Daddy, you did." And I said, "You know what? You're right. You know what? I'm going to work on that. I shouldn't have done that." That's what happens when you get mad. Sometimes it just something comes out of your mouth and, you know, I think I'll pray about that and I'll work on it. I really will. Thanks for pointing that out. Kids are beautiful. They're just beautiful. What can I say? But I'm just saying, friends, that if we want to be great in network marketing as a leader, we can't be lousy in our leadership at home. Okay? And for those of you that don't have children, you know, then maybe one day you'll understand this. But the whole idea of leadership is to make us a better husband, make us a better wife, make us better parents, make us a better contributors to our community. That's the whole point. And guess what? If we can get good at mastering some of those areas of our life, we'll be a very great network marketing leader. Because we can't say, well, I'm going to be a leader here, but I'm not going to be here. I'm going to step up here, but I'm going to step down here. I'm going to play big here, but I'm going to play small here. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. So we understand that if we start getting that down, we're going to attract people like ourselves to ourselves. We're going to attract leaders. People are going to take an interest in you. They're going to see that you're different. So what can we do? What are some action steps we can take? Well, one thing, you know, leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. Make sure that you are always improving yourself. Always improving yourself. Be a reader. And that can be audiobooks too when you drive to work or wherever you're going. I love to listen to audiobooks and I love to read books. I like to do both. But do that. Start refining yourself. Again, you're the stone and you choose who's going to carve you. And I'll tell you what, if I was a sculptor or if I was wanting to learn it, you wouldn't want me carving on you. You know, I don't think I would be very good at sculpting, you know. Hey, anybody got a jackhammer over there? Bring that thing over here. You know, but you have that choice. So choose, come to, I'm going, December 4th, I'm going to Anthony Robbins' Date with Destiny. These are like 13-hour days. 13-hour days for 5 days. Incredible. And I mean, it's just like Tony Robbins just pours it on, pours it on, pours it on. Why am I doing that? Again, there is no graduation. I want to improve my leadership. I want to get better at what I do. And the only way I can know to do that is to go to events. Now, some of you can't go to events. Well, I haven't been to a Tony Robbins event in a long time. But you know what? In the meantime, I plug into books, I plug into audios. Those are the things we do. One book you can start reading if you haven't done that. Develop the Leader Within You, John Maxwell. That's a book that you can, if you haven't read it, read it. That'll help you on your leadership. The thing about it is, you have to understand this too. And this is another reason why you have to step up. If you want, like me, after 21 years to still get paid in your company, to have something last that long, to change the life of your family in such a big way for so long, the reason why you got to step up and be a leader is because if you always rely on your upline and say, well, I'd rather my upline be the leader. I'd rather my upline do this. I'd rather my upline do that. I'm going to enjoy the money I'm making, but I'm just going to take a seat. Okay, what if your upline decides to go to a different company? I have seen this so many times. And guess what? You did not spend the years developing influence with your leaders. He developed the influence with your leaders. Guess where they went? With your upline. And your income went crashed. That's right. Leadership is influence. That's it. That's all it is, friends. And so that's the next action step I want to give you, is that if you have not spent time calling down into your team and developing relationships, you need to start doing that. I mean, don't think you're not qualified. Don't think you have to earn $10,000 a month to do that. Don't think you have to be a top pin in order to do that. You don't have to be a top pin. You know, here's the thing. If you want to be a top pin and if you want to make the big money in network marketing, then you need to act like a person who does. I'm not saying being a phony. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we attract whatever we think about most. We attract what we are on the inside. That's what we are. It's like a person, like the movie Rocky, right? That's when I love that movie. Anyway, my youngest son loves that movie. But when you look at that, when Rocky got in the ring and with Apollo Creed, man, and finally defeated him, he was recognized as the world heavyweight champion of the world, right? But the thing about it is, he was that before he got in the ring, but he was never recognized for it. It wasn't until after the fight he was recognized. But he was that same person before the fight. So what I'm saying is, if you want these things, if you want to be a 6-7 figure earner in network marketing, you have to become that person before you can earn that income, or you'll never make that income. You'll never earn it. You'll never get it. The same thing. If you want to go to the top of your company, you got to be that person that's going to go to the top of the company before you're recognized as it. That's it. And that's the key. That's the essence to what we do. So here's another action step. Rely less on your sponsor. If you find in the past you go to your sponsor for everything or a lot of things, or go too much, quit doing that. Start getting independent. Learn how to think. It's like my wife. I love my wife, Michelle, but I'll tell you what, she's as clueless as it comes sometimes. Like if I'm taking her somewhere, she's in the passenger seat, right? She didn't pay attention to how we got to where we went, right? She only knows that when we're there, right? But if I'm not there to drive her, she's like, how do you get there? Right. And that's the reason why you got to get in the driver's seat. See, we can't rely on our upline so much to do everything for us. We've got to do it. And here's the other thing, and start using the tools. Make sure that you know how to use the tools. Make sure that you know how to teach. And this is the important thing. And remember this, it's not so much important that you become the leader, even though that's important. What's important is that you can teach others to lead, who teach others to lead, who teach others to lead. That's what's important. Because you have to duplicate this. If it's just you, if the limelight is on you, when you're getting the trophy on stage and that pin and all that, and and it's all about you, you're in trouble. In other words, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in real trouble. You need to make sure your people are very sharp, because they're going to duplicate that. And pray to God you can find people better than you. I'm always looking for someone better than me. Absolutely. I have no ego to be bruised on that. I have no problem taking the back row, watching storm that stage and give an incredible speech or training. No problem, because that's financial freedom. You surround yourself with enough leaders, attract enough leaders, you can get very wealthy in this profession. That's a fact. That is a fact. But you can't do it if they're not leaders. And you can't attract leaders if you're not a leader. So it's for your own good that you just grow up and get on with it, okay? It'll be the best thing. You'll love it. You will love it. And because we have different ideas about it all and things like that, but most of that perception is wrong. So here's another thing too. How do you feel about public speaking? Some people think that, they think death is worse, or rather, that public speaking is worse than death, I mean. So the thing about it is, there's a couple of things that you can do. Watch how you talk, watch your tonality. That's the first step I would give you. When you talk to a prospect on a phone, watch your body posture. If you're slumped over, if you're just, like that, your energy, your breathing, everything is wrong. Put a mirror in front of you. I used to do that many years ago. And then sometimes I would record myself and listen to how I prospected someone. And after I listened to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I sounded like that? I mean, good grief, Jeff, where's the freaking energy? I mean, you sound like you're apologizing for your opportunity. I mean, come on. I'm surprised the person even agreed to take a look. He must have felt sorry for you. I beat myself up, sometimes after I listen to recording. So then I was more conscious of, okay, watch your posture, getting ready to do a follow-up call, okay? Because your whole tonality is affected by your physiology. It's, and so you have to, and your energy level, everything is affected by it. So that's the thing. Watch yourself there. Number one, it starts there. Number two, then, you could start even practicing a training. Maybe a training. You could take anybody's training. Do an outline on the training. Then let's see you do that same training and record it on your smartphone. And then go back and review it. Say, well, okay, I need to improve in these areas. Okay, improve in those areas. If you want to join a Toastmasters organization, you can do that. That's all about training you how to public speak. It's things that you can do. You say, is that really necessary? No. Here's the thing. How big do you want to become? Do you want to play small or do you want to play big? That's the question, isn't it? But here's one thing that is for sure. If you do not become a leader, you'll never attract leaders. If you don't attract leaders, everything you're doing is doomed eventually. So don't be surprised when it all disappears and they follow your upline to another company. See, that's the thing. Just understand, try to change the way you look at it and the way you feel about it, because again, it affects all areas of your life. And if we say we don't want to be a leader in network marketing, we're saying we don't want to be a good parent too. We're saying we don't want to be a good husband. We don't really, want to be a good wife. We don't want to be a good community person. That is all leadership. It's all leadership. It doesn't mean that we're perfect. We're not. It means we're gonna be the best version of ourselves. And we're gonna work on it. We're gonna keep chipping away at the stone until we have that person that's in us come out. And we're gonna be glad when it happens that way. Now here's some other things that you could do too. If you haven't done this, get your leaders on a Zoom call. Say, hey, I'd like to just chat with everybody. And they're like, wow, he never does that. He never does it. Yeah, he wants us to get on a Zoom call? Well, that's interesting. Okay. It's okay. If you've never done it before, do it. When was the last time you've done something you've never done before? So if that's a Zoom call, do it. And then just prepare something. Doesn't have to be something, too lengthy, but just prepare it. And here's the other thing. And until that time, make sure that you get on your sponsors trainings. That's right. and if they, and just, reach out to, you could reach out to to different leaders and say, hey, I need you to get on my training. And if you can't make it, then just type in replay so I know you made it and you got the information. The good thing about that, you're going to know who to work with. You're going to know who's serious in your business. You're trying to be a leader, you want them to try to be a leader. Everybody's trying to be a better version of themselves. I'm still trying. That's the reason why I'm going to a Tony Robbins event. I'm bringing my wife there. I want her to be a better version of herself. I'm bringing my son Micah. He's 33 years old, 6-figure income earner in network marketing, and I want him to be a better version of himself. So you can invite your leaders to events and get them to show up to be a better version of themselves. It's all going to help you. The thing about it is, and this is the, two other things that I can tell you, is also when you show up this way, it's going to tell your corporate leaders at your company that you want to be a better version of yourself, that you want to be a leader. Reach out to them. I write my CEO, my president and CEO. Matter of fact, a new team in Asia that just recently is coming over into another team that I have over there. I was just, writing, giving him an update on what's going on, and he just writes back, go get him, that's the thing. Do you know how to email any of your corporate people? And here's the thing, tell them how you appreciate their leadership, what you like about their leaderships. Too many times leaders complain to corporate leaders, and the only time they hear from their, some of these leaders is just to complain. And you know what? It's how would you feel? So when they get positive feedback, from you about their leadership, then they're going to look at you in a totally different light. Next thing you know, you're going to be in their literature, you're going to be in their videos. Yeah, that's right, because you're carving the stone. The way they're seeing you it's good. It's good. So reach out to those people, let them know. And here's the other thing. And last, I'll close with this, another action step, and that is, don't feel threatened if your leaders are looking better than you. Don't feel threatened by that. Don't be hurt. Don't let your ego be hurt. I've seen some people try to hold their people back, not to go to the next ranked position. I've seen that. Don't feel threatened by that. I've always hoped that, that I can have people in my organization that do a better job than I do. Why not? I love it. I can learn from them just because they're my downline. I don't look down at them because their upline. Doesn't mean I'm sharper than they are. It doesn't mean that. We can always learn from one another. So the thing is, never feel threatened by that. I tell you, that's the best thing that you could ever happen. And some people think, well, if they rank up too much, then my money's going to change. My money's going to change. That means they're getting a bigger piece of the pie, and that means I'm getting a smaller piece of the pie. So what? The nice thing about your pie is it's going to last forever, or at least for your lifetime, and hopefully you'll be able to hand that business down to your children, like the Yeager family did in Amway when Dexter Yeager died. That's right. His sons are all multi-millionaires. Okay, isn't that what you want? So the thing about it is, if we try to keep people down, how are you going to have an enduring income? That's impossible. You can't. So then just understand, I've never worried about that. Matter of fact, most of my volume that I have is out of my pay line. Most of it. I'm happy about that. I think that's awesome. I think that's great. Why? Because that will last for decades, like it has for me. Decades. And that's the kind of business you want. You better hope most of your volume, is out of your pay line, because what's in your pay line is going to be huge. You better hope you have better leaders than yourself, because that's what's going to make it endure for decades of time, because of leadership. But the leadership started when you showed up differently. And you show up differently at home, in your marriage, in your family, in your community. And that affects how you show up in network marketing, because you're that same person. So we can't say, we can't say, I don't want to be a leader. I really don't want to be a leader. And when we're saying we don't want to be these other things in these other areas of life either. We have to change the way we think and feel about it. And going into the next year in 2020, we got to be a different person. We have got to show up differently. We got to watch what is carving on our stone. See, the stone didn't have the choice, but you do. And that's the thing. So be like Michelangelo, and what is carving you is going to bring out a masterpiece. And you can be a masterpiece. You can do it. You know, people that say, oh, very few people don't, they hardly make it, network marketing. No. The ones who chose to do it and stuck with it are the ones who made a decision, who's going to carve on them. They brought out that statue that was buried in the stone. They were that incredible leader. That's right. So just stay with it, persevere with it, apply these steps, and I hope you got some value out of tonight's call. I hope this was helpful. Anyway, you can be a great leader. I mean, look at me. I'm the janitor. I'm the guy that mopped floors at night. If you would have came up to, at a grocery store and saw me down the aisle mopping floors, and you walked up and said, hey, you're going to be a world traveler. You're going to be a top income earner in your company. You're going to be, have 700,000 distributors in 57 countries. I would just look at you and say, you can go to a place and get therapy. You can get off drugs. You really can. I never saw my future this way. I never saw that. But I was very careful about, what I listened to. Instead of just listening to music and negative news, I started listening to audio programs. I listened to Earl Nightingale. I listened to different people. Guess what? They were carving me. But again, it was my choice. See, I choose the carvers. So you do that, you're going to be fine. Thanks for getting on tonight. And for those of you in Asia, have a wonderful, awesome day. For those of you in North and South America, have a great evening with your families. I hope all of you are doing well. If you've been following American football, man, aren't the Ravens going crazy, man? I never, wow. Patriots are going to have a challenge this year. They're going to have a challenge winning the Super Bowl this time around. Anyway, everyone have a great night, and look forward to seeing you on tomorrow night. Take care.